So, just doing this stream here to make people aware of this offer that's only going to be for December, and you basically get all my courses and you get coaching from me directly via WhatsApp. I'll write your personal practice schedule, and we also have a one-on-one 30-minute lesson to start everything off. So yeah, only 20 spots. The list is actually full, but I know how this works. Of all the people that signs up, not everyone is going to buy. So if you join now, you still have a chance to get a spot. So. Hello. So, who's here? Hey, Vinny. Had a good Thanksgiving. Hey, Mike. You also from the US, Mike? If so, happy Thanksgiving, or whatever you guys say. Like, Vinny is a student of mine, and he calls me a heathen because we don't celebrate Thanksgiving. But that, there you go. Do you get a day off today then, because it's sort of a day in the middle, or how does that work? I know they're quite stingy with the days off in the US. Here in Sweden it's like, oh yeah, we have a holiday on Tuesday and let's give everyone days off until the weekend. That's great, Daniel. I mean, wait for that. That's gonna be basically for January, and I mean that's a deal. I'm kind of like, you know, since you get lifetime access to Practice Room Pro, so. But you know, it's out there now, so I'm not gonna be like, hey, actually, it's gonna cost this. And to be clear, anyone watching this, that's a separate thing. We have like 8 weeks of private lessons and all the courses, and basically free Practice Room Pro forever and ever. Do they? I didn't know that. I thought it was a very American thing. since, you know, what isn't that based on like the Native Americans? And see, I stopped myself from saying the I word. I said actually Native Americans. I'm proud of myself being PC on this stream. I know, Daniel. I just replied to your thing about you practicing on vacation. That's great. You said you had an issue with this? That was it this finger that didn't want to pick up? That's probably, you know, a third and fourth finger issue. But like I said, do all hammers. That will help you with the left hand. And then, you know, so you can separate the hands for a while. Even like 5 minutes, like I told you, will make a big difference. Hey, Jordan. Yeah, do that, and like I said, well, actually I didn't say that in thread, but send a video if you want me to look into it, because that helps a lot for me as well to see like what's going on. But it's a very common thing to have a issue between the third and fourth. I used to do a lot of exercises like that's a good one, but basically just anything that you use the third and fourth finger. So when I went to GIT, it's one teacher there, and he's released a couple of like country guitar videos. He's an amazing player, Steve Trovato. He also produced a lot of the REH videos. Ingve was one of them. He had some funny stories. But he had this like live playing workshop or something where you basically had to play live on stage there. But he would always go around like, you know, had the guitar strapped on, but, you know, not plugged in. And you know, you would just do this 3 and 4 all the time. So all that stuff helps a lot. Might not feel like it in the moment, but I mean, this thing that I'm doing now, 2, 3, 4, it's not like I was born to do that shit, right? But also, it's kind of like, well, how often are you going to use it? Well, it just makes doing 1, 2, 4 and 1, 3, 4 easier, right? So All right, relax. It's Friday evening here, so it might not be wherever you're at, but it's all right there. It's that thing. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Right. How's work, Jordan? I know you said you're working a lot right now. Is that gonna cool down at some point, or are you just rolling in money instead? So my bonus daughter, she's 17, and she's really into art and drawing stuff. And she basically been watching this Sam Loves Art or something. And she said like, oh, you should do a react to the guitar players thing. And then you can say, oh, we could have done this better. But what do you guys think about that stuff? Because for me, it kind of, I don't want to, I'm not going to sit there and react to like, oh, Jack Gardner. Oh, actually, I would have preferred this note. Because one, it's so subjective, but so is art. So I don't know, it's very, very strange. I'm not sure. But one thing that she said though was like, I should do like a tiers video, S tier and whatever. I'm not sure. Just want to try something different. I know there's this one guy like music teacher reacts to whatever, or guitar teacher reacts to. And also it's not my style to be an asshole. So even if I don't like something, if it's a student, I will just say it because they've asked me and they've paid me to tell them what I think, right? So that's different. But unsolicited advice for someone, that's, I don't know. See, I talked myself out of it. I asked you and then I talked myself out of it. Maybe I should do it with just Bach and Mozart and just piss the whole classical community off. Actually, Mozart went here, but I would have gone there instead. Because or even better, I can, just react to David Gilmour stuff and be like, yeah, it would have been better. I mean, after this band, if he just did, did some sweep, that would have been way better. Get the whole boomer side of the internet after me. Thing is though, Mike, I think they wouldn't get it. They would think that I'm serious. They would be so pissed off. I saw, Music is Win. He reacted to Spyro Ducius doing some insane sweeps, right? And then you have people like, David Gilmour can do this better with 2 notes. And like, And then someone said, actually, David Gilmour can do this stuff, but he just doesn't want to. It's like, okay, this might be the worst take I've heard in my life. You're way better off being like, well, this is not guitar playing, it's speed, and speed has nothing, blah, 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 and 2 notes are better than 1,000, and whatever. But saying that David Gilmour can do this stuff, but he just chooses not to. It's so ridiculous. And for the record, I love David Gilmour. I don't want him to play anything different than he does. But I also love Yngwie, and I don't want him to play like David Gilmour either. So I just find this whole, when people have opinions on other people's playing, it's like, you should play more like this. Yeah, like Yngwie got a lot of criticism, like, he only plays this and this. He should play more blues stuff like Clapton. It's like, well, go listen to Clapton then. What's the problem? What do you really want everyone to change according to your preferences? Exactly. Actually, Yngwie is a great blues player. It's a bit moody, but he's very cool blues stuff. And this is not just me saying it. It's a guy that plays probably one of my favorite blues players and also fusion players is Scott Henderson, the teacher at MI and guitarist of Tribal Tech and his solo stuff. And he even said, like, Yngwie is great at playing the blues. And, whenever I see a clip of Yngwie playing the blues, people will be like, oh, that's not blues. I think I'll take Scott Henderson's opinion over yours. It's kind of like, I know it's subjective, but I would also listen more to Gordon Ramsay or whoever when it comes to cooking than some pleb. Hey, try Brian Bimbles. Wow. It's a mouthful. I haven't seen you before, but for sure, because that name. I love these names though. They're crazy. I agree, but I think also a lot of people will like. That's like peak vibrato for some people. And again, I'm not shitting on B.B. King. I love his playing too, but it's just. I think my thing is that. And I think a lot of people can do this, but because most of these guys that I'm talking about, and yes, it's mostly dudes, they get so pissed off and they're so vocal about it. So they might be 1 out of 100, but they're gonna stick out more. So exactly. A meme. Some comedian said it. It's like, well, this whole Lizzo thing, like people, everyone is as beautiful as anyone else, and body positive and everything. It's like, well, if I tell a girl like, wow, you're really beautiful like Lizzo, they're like, yeah, but what? Hey, no. And again, I have nothing against Lizzo. Actually, I think Lizzo is really talented. I heard her flute playing. It's like, holy shit. Well, I think it works for what he's doing, B.B. King. I wouldn't call it amateurish. It's just that, it's like every style has its own requirements. And I think, I don't remember who it was, but it was someone who tried, maybe it was Steve Lukather, was like starting to play the blues. And he played it and was like, it didn't really work. And then he started listening to B.B. King and all the Kings, Albert King, Freddie King. And he realized that wherever he wanted to play in a blues progression, like where he plays the phrases, when they were silent, and when he was silent, that's when they were playing. It's almost like, if you're trying to play jazz and you keep, it's like people when they listen to jazz and they go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So. And the thing is, I actually enjoy blues way more when I hear it with a tone like Gary Moore and on like, still got the blues, but not the record in its own, like this aggressive tone. I think Eric Steckel, if you've seen that guy on Instagram, amazing tone. It's like fucking every clip, whether he's in a bedroom or he's like just on a stage. His tone is like, what the fuck? Uh, yeah, but I love Robin Ford as well. But I think it's a different style. It's a for sure a different style. But I kind of, what's that guy? Kingfish. Also really cool tone and then amazing phrasing. So that's more of my thing. And also I like Joe Bonamassa as well. And some people seem to hate him. But I'm not sure if it's like he thinks that he's buying all the cool guitar gear, and it's like that's why he gets hated, and then there's shit on his playing because of that. Because it's like he's an amazing player. It's like if it's not for you, don't listen to it. But it's like it's ridiculous to be like, oh, it sucks. No, maybe your ears suck, you know. But the thing is, you know, whatever people's opinion is on music and art, they're right. But they don't need to be assholes about it. That's my whole point. Yeah, I think Mike has a good point here. I think without people like BB, Albert, etc., we wouldn't have Hendrix, SRV. I think yeah, exactly. And I think without Demiola, we wouldn't have had, if it weren't for Demiola and Uli John Roth, we wouldn't have Yngwie. If it weren't for Yngwie, we probably wouldn't have Paul Gilbert in the way that he was in the beginning, because he was the only reason why Paul Gilbert developed his picking was that he heard Yngwie and was like, holy shit, I need to catch up. Because he said like, oh, I've heard Demiola before, but that's like, you know, he's a jazz guy, so it's not the same. So I think all that stuff. Because the thing is, and this might, you know, it's blasphemy in certain people's eyes, but I don't give a shit. It's like, I don't like Hendrix particularly. I love people playing Hendrix. I think, you know, Little Wing listening to SRV doing it is way better than when Hendrix does it. But Hendrix, you know, there wasn't that kind of music before Hendrix. So it's kind of funny, actually, and it's super important to. But also, I don't think we should have these holy cows in music. Like, if you prefer SRV, you know, instead of Hendrix, that's fine. And if you prefer Hendrix, that's fine too. But qualify better. That's the thing. You can't say like, how is that better? You find it better, and I find SRV better, and we're both right. So you can't really say like, either is better than the other. Well, again, that's your opinion, and I don't agree. Because you can say that about a lot of people. Like, well, actually, if you look at this wasn't that good. So I think it's, again, I think people get hung up on certain holy cows, and like, for you, Hendrix has been really, really important, I could guess. But for other people, it's like, you know, it's not gonna be. And everyone copies everyone, because that's how we learn, right? You don't just appear from nowhere and don't listen to anything. I mean, Hendrix, from what I understood, he started getting into jazz before he died. So. but I think you're misunderstanding my point here, Brian. Because for you that's true. For me it's not. So I'd rather hear, SRV than Hendrix any day of the week. And that's not wrong, and doesn't mean that you're wrong either. I think Scott Henderson again, he put this together. Quote from his is like, in comparison to hearing like, eighth note, what he called boring jazz guitar players, like he said he'd rather hear Albert Lee drop his guitar than listening to that. So I get that. Well, I wouldn't say it is obviously better. It's just, whatever you prefer, So, but that's the thing. You can't say that this is better because I realized, I saw the light and this is better. In your world, it is better. In mine, it's not. So that's just the way it is when it comes to art. You can't, it's all subjective, which means that no one is right and no one is wrong. Well, that's purely wrong, Mike. Who the fuck likes margarine? That's horrible for you. Stu, I see Ben Travers and Rick Graham have something in the mix. Only just came across bands playing recently. I've never heard of Ben Travers before, but apparently he had a really long break. See? And you're allowed to, and you're right. And I'm also right when I'm saying that that's not what reality is, which is the beautiful thing. But my problem is when you have people like David Gilmour, whatever, psychophants, and they're like, no, this is better, this is objectively better. You can't say that about music. Just fuck off. Well, you can't say that and being a reasonable person, at least. That's what I would say. I mean, my wife, she's into 90s hip hop, which I have no issue with, but she couldn't give a fuck about any of this stuff, right? Is she wrong for that then? No. Am I wrong for thinking that SRV dropping his guitar is better than most hip hop ever made? No. So it's Yeah, but how do you qualify it though? Because it's all gonna come down to your opinion, Brian. I guess it's Brian, right? So you can't really say, with a lot of things you can say it's better or worse, but in music you can't. Because how would you explain someone listening to Sonic Youth instead of listening to Bach, right? Yeah, but you can objectively say that Yngwie has better technique than B.B. King, sure, but you can't say that it's better, that Yngwie's music is better than B.B. King, because that's besides the point, right? Yeah, but that's the thing. You can't you can't say that Uh, no, in art, no, I will never agree on this. I think in art, it's all subjective, because you can't say that oh, Yngwie has a better technique, so that's why it's better. No, the technique is better, but it's not the music doesn't, which is the point. That doesn't mean that the music is better. For some people, it's going to be better. For some people, it's not going to be better. For some people, it's going to be totally unlistenable. So that's why it's pointless, because you can say like, well, why aren't everyone listening to Bach, because that's clearly the best music ever written, and it is in my opinion, but most people don't give a shit. They'd rather listen to Taylor Swift. Yeah, let's agree to disagree on that one, because I don't think you can qualify. There's no way to qualify it to say like, well, this is objectively better, unless you go into technical details of things. But that's also a matter of opinion, because otherwise, no, I agree with that. But it's still, the point is that you can have the best technically made music ever, but you can't say that that's gonna be the best music for everyone. And I think that's where people go wrong, when they think like, no, but I know that this is better, so it's better, so other people are wrong. And I don't think it works like that. Yes, but you're missing the point. No one gives a shit about that. Whether if the music is the best technically produced music, that's objective criteria for sure. But that doesn't mean that people are gonna like it more than another thing. So that's why you can't say that it's better than anything else. But that's what I'm saying. Like if it all came down to like the best constructed music, the hard, everything is the hardest and the hardest thing to produce, then we peaked with Bach or like Mahler or Stravinsky or whatever. Yeah, I get that, Viz. Well, I don't think we're getting anywhere here, Brian. I think you don't agree with what I'm saying in this case, and I don't agree with you, and that's fine. But I don't think you can ever say that this music is better than this music. You may like it better, but you can't say that it is better. And if you start looking at things as like objectively, well, it's technically better. Yeah, sure, but that doesn't mean that it's better music. Because then I think you're missing the point of music. Well, that might be it, but I'm done with the discussion. We're not getting anywhere. And I know I'm right as well. I'm kidding. Chill out. But seriously, I will never, ever believe that music is not subjective. Yeah, but how? But that's the point. Mike might like Bright better than you like Bright, and who's right then? Are you right? Or are you gonna go into like, oh well, actually it's a purer signal, that's why it's better? So if someone is listening to Stevie Ray Vaughan and someone is listening to Hendrix, and you say Hendrix is way better, and you base that on what? And then someone says, well, Stevie Ray Vaughan is better because of this. And what it comes down to is what do you like hearing the most? That's it. So you can't. That's not going to be an objective opinion. But I don't think you do either. Because that's the thing. You can't. That's like saying like blue is objectively better than red. Why? Because I said so. Well, it's fine. We're clearly never gonna agree on this, so let's just drop it. Yeah, and I'm gonna say that Stevie Ray Vaughan is always gonna be better at being Stevie Ray Vaughan than Jimi Hendrix is gonna be Stevie Ray Vaughan. Obviously, because they were living in different time periods, but it's like that you're kind of saying the same point now, and someone will prefer blue above red, and you can't say that blue is better than red. Anyway, this is getting very boring. Anyone else have any questions that's not about subjective stuff? Anyone else? I think not the most interesting discussion at this point. And ironically enough, I believe one way and you believe another way, and you think you're objectively right, and I don't believe so. And you're misunderstanding me, so let's leave it at that. Also, I don't think it's misunderstanding, I just don't agree with you. So anyone else? Alright, Bram, we're done with this now, so if you don't have anything else to say about it, it's no point. We're not going to agree on it, so I don't want to take up a lot of time on this right now. And I don't want to block you either, because I don't think that's fair. Stu, thank you. Do you have a preference for time of day for practicing? I've always put the time in the evening, but I heard a lot of pro players talking about the first thing in the morning, their thing. Hey, Tom. Actually, I recently listened to an old Steve Morse seminar, and he said, and he was like really adamant about this. He's like, and I've never heard him talking about this. I've read a lot of stuff that, you know, that Steve has had to say in guitar columns and stuff like that. And I really respect him as a player. And he said that he's 100% sure that practice, if you have 2 hours a day to practice, let's say, you're way better off dividing that into like a morning, or it doesn't have to be like early morning, but let's say before noon session for an hour, and then you do a late at night session, or, you know, whatever, evening session. But you just divide it, because he said that you improve way faster when you do that. And he also had like a point where, like, you know, we don't eat once a day. You know, we tend to eat more than once, and I don't know how relevant that is to the thing, but it's like, for me though, it's always been logical that if you can spread it out, you should do it. Even if it's like you can do 15 minutes in the morning before work, then you're way more likely to get going when you come back from work, because then like, oh, I'm already 15 minutes in. You know what I mean? So that reason alone will help. But another thing I think is sort of overlooked is that in a 24-hour cycle, you're gonna have, if you only practice between 6 and 8 a.m. in the morning, let's say, then it's gonna be like 22 hours before you hit the guitar again. If you're practicing instead from 6 to 7, and then you know, practice from 8 to 9 or 9 to 10 or something, you're gonna have way less hours in between. And I think that makes a difference, for sure. And another factor I think is that, and I know this is not related to exactly what you said in terms of practicing in the morning or the evening, but in general learning, they found that you remember things the most when you start a session and when you end a session. So if you get 2 sessions in per day, you basically double up on that, because then you're gonna have 2 starting points and 2 ending points. So I think that's a big thing. And another thing is that the whole deliberate practice thing, where they followed like concert violinists, they saw that they tended to practice for like 90-minute sessions and do that 2 or 3 times a day, right? So basically they wouldn't do more than like 4.5 hours per day, but also they would never do it in one chunk. They would do it like 90 minutes. And these people will also take naps. And that's another thing they found. I think Andrew Huberman talked about this. And basically, and this is not his research. Even if you're like, oh, Andrew Huberman, he sucks. It's not his research. But basically, we've seen that we consolidate our learning when we sleep. So if you get a nap in, you're gonna do more consolidation. So that's gonna be good for you as well. So, but practicing late at night, though, Stu, that they found for like motor learning and stuff like that, so technique stuff, it's actually really beneficial, because you're gonna go to bed quite quickly after that. And also for learning in general. So I do think, I mean, yes, you're fresher in the morning, but I do think like if you go to bed right after you've been practicing, it's probably gonna stick a bit better as well. So if you can't do both, I would just try, you know, go for a week or two one way and then a week or two the other way. Well, I don't think, I think tone, again, without opening up this whole rambling discussion we just had, is subjective. So I don't want to push my tone on anyone else. And if someone asks, I just tell you, I'm using Archetype Petrucci. And is it the best tone I've ever played with? No, but it's good enough, especially for this, right? It's so, since it's already in the amp, it's already in the DAW, so I can just chuck it in to this thing where I do my streaming. so because when I started doing streaming, I just did it with my phone, and you had the amp sound from the room, and that didn't work at all. Yeah, 2 sessions and a nap. Quit your job. No, but I do think there's a big thing, big takeaway there, and I find these topics very interesting as well. And doing the work that I do, since I do this for a living, I rarely have like, oh, I have 2 hours now that I can thanks for asking. You mean replying? Anyway, I'll get the time in when I get the time in, because if I start looking at my schedule like, oh yeah, no 2 hour gap here, oh I'm not here either, oh I guess I'm not going to practice today, then that's a stupid way to do it. So if I have 5 minutes, I can get stuff done, and I practice a lot with just without even being plugged in, because that's super important, I think, for developing your tone. Any more questions? Sorry about my dogs going cray cray. Just gonna. Yeah, wifey is home, so I'm gonna go as well. But have you any tips for memorizing lots of material? Yes, make a playlist on Spotify or whatever, and then listen only to that. You're gonna hate your life for a while, but that's you just need to listen to the music a lot, and also realize that when you take one song at a time, I would, instead of just starting like, oh, here's riff 1, start by listening. By hopefully you've been listening to the songs already, but when you listen to the songs, you can be like, oh, okay, so this song is 5 minutes long, but the actual music you need to learn in terms of riffs and chord progressions and melodies or whatever is actually only 2 minutes, right? Because songs have a ton of repetition in them. So if you can identify that, it's going to be so much less daunting. Because if you think about it, let's say a song has, you know, even if it's like a very innovative artist, you're not going to have more than 50% of the song being new things. So if you have a playlist then of 50 songs, in your mind, you actually have 25 songs, really, if you know what I mean, because the amount of material in the song is not going to be as much. But I think it's crucial to have like an idea of, intuitive idea of what's going to come next. So you're not sitting there like, all right, what happens then? Like, do I play that twice or 3 times? Or, you know, what's the deal here? But if you have that in your mind, then it's going to be way easier to remember it. So hopefully that helps. Anyway, so check out the whole thing in the description. That looks interesting. The waitlist is full already, but I know how this works. Not everyone is going to buy that's on the waitlist. So if you're interested, chuck your name in and I'll let you know when it's out, unless it's already sold out. So